Hi, welcome. I'm Mary and I hook books. I crochet projects inspired by the audiobooks that I listen to. And this is going to be my 2023 first quarter favorites and least favorites. First, a big thank you to my anonymous benefactors who have used the link in the description and the Buy Me a Coffee website to donate to the crochet cause. I am still working on some of those blankets for the Hope Center, and those are big projects. They take a lot of yarn, so I really do appreciate you chipping in. Thank you so much. In no particular order, my top 5 fiction picks for the first quarter of 2023. The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This is a cozy fantasy about an orphanage and the government worker that has to inspect this orphanage, and they say low stakes, but for them it's very high stakes, whether they get to stay in their home or not. And I just love this. It's a hug in a book, and if you need something wholesome, maybe to get you out of a reading slump, I would pick this one up. Love Story by Christopher Moore. I really enjoy his humor. Some of it is very dated. This was, I think, the late 90s, early 2000s. So it might not hit for everyone, but especially the side characters, I just love so much. So the first book is Blood-Sucking Fiends, and this was just a fun ride for me. Fan fiction, a memoir inspired by true events by Brett Spiner. I am a Trekkie at heart. When I was a teenager, I loved fan fiction. I think it's hilarious he wrote fan fiction about his own life. So if you are a Trekkie for the next generation, or you just like kind of goofy comedy, I would pick this one up. Sign Here by Claudia Lux. Work is hell for most people, so why wouldn't you go to work in hell? And I love these characters. I love that we get to follow the people on Earth as well as the people trying to make deals for their souls. And it sounds kind of dark, and it does get a little bit heavy in parts, but it is actually very lighthearted. I mean, talking about the things that you do on your time off in hell. It's just quirky and fun. So Claudia Lux, Sign Here, was a 5-star for me. In Paradox Hotel, I loved the main character. I loved the central relationship. I loved the LGBTQ representation. I loved how high action it was, and I'm always down for a good time travel romp. So Paradox Hotel by Rob Hart, I gave 4.75. This was a really good quarter for nonfiction for me, so I have a top 6, but I only have a bottom 4, so I'm going to make up for it. So I loved This Is Going to Hurt, Secret Diaries of a Junior Doctor by Adam Kay. And this was very heartfelt, but also very funny. It kind of reminded me of Scrubs, so if you liked that show, I would definitely pick this one up. Come As You Are, the surprising new science that will transform your sex life by Emily Nagoski. And this was much less about sex and much more about life circumstances and the stress cycle. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the anatomy portion. I enjoyed the nervous system and how well she studied that and made it accessible. So it's not super cerebral, but it's also very obviously well researched. The Secret History of Wonder Woman. I really liked this. Jill Lepore is very thorough with her research. I do wish that she had gone a little bit more into the legacy of Wonder Woman, but I really appreciate how deeply she delved into the history of Wonder Woman, even before she was created, the context in which she came about, and what America was going through at the time. Riding the Elephant, a memoir of altercations, humiliations, hallucinations, and observations by Craig Ferguson. And I loved his comedy. I used to watch The Late Late Show, and I'd seen a couple of his stand-up specials, and I really appreciated, I think this is his second memoir, he had gone through a lot of processing, and I appreciated that, along with his humor that he always brings. The Secret History of Food, Strange but True Stories About the Origins of Everything We Eat by Matt Siegel. And this again was very well researched. It wasn't as broad as I expected, but what he does go into I found very interesting. Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism by Amanda Montell. I really appreciated that she went not only into traditional cults, but things that are cult adjacent or, cult-ish. Things like internet conspiracy theories and fitness clubs. This was very thorough and had a very wide breadth. So if you're really into cults, or if you don't know all that much, you can get something out of this book. I only had 4 books that really made it to my bottom. There weren't very many books that I gave less than 3 stars to this quarter, and so that is a big win. One of them that I really didn't like was Hokuloa Road by Elizabeth Hand, and this, I didn't really buy into the mystery or the premise, and it was a little bit white saviory. I just was not down for it. And then The Candy House by Jennifer Egan was a victim of its hype for me. If I didn't have expectations because it was hyped up at my local library so much, I probably maybe would have rated this a little bit higher. I like speculative fiction and science fiction short story collections, but this was just missing some kind of cohesion. The individual stories, some of them were really great, and if I had read them alone, I might have given them a high rating. But as a collection, it really let me down. The Husbands, I was really enjoying for about the first 60% of this book, but it failed to have the conversation it was trying to have, and the ending let me down so much. If you want something better, I just finished Fed Up, and that could also have been about 15% shorter, but it has the conversation that The Husbands was trying to have, but much more successfully. Yes, Fed Up is nonfiction, but The Husbands really just fell on its face. The Children's Secret by Nina Monroe, it was trying to have some conversations about gun violence and gun control that it did somewhat successfully. It was trying to do so much. I think if it had really honed in and been a little bit more concise, it might have been more successful. As it was, the last 20-something% of the book was kind of a where are they now of all the characters, all 8 children and all 16 of their parents. So it tried to do too much. It's not terrible. I gave it a 2.75, but I wouldn't recommend it necessarily. And now, my top 5 favorite crochet projects that I worked on in the first quarter of 2023. Behind me, you have seen the Sacred Spaces blanket. This was inspired by Fire and Blood by G.R.R. Martin. And the book was only 3 stars, but I really enjoy this pattern, and I might make it again. Oscar the Sheep inspired by the Whiskey Business Mystery series. Little Mini Devil, inspired by Sign Here by Claudia Lux. Baby Cthulhu, inspired by the house on the Cerulean Sea. And this infinity scarf, inspired by Paradox Hotel. I did, in fact, make another infinity scarf for another time loop book in a different color. I really enjoy this big twist twinkle. I think it's going to be great around Christmas as a gift. I have no idea what my neighbors are doing, but it's very loud, but I'm losing my light. I'm sorry. For those of you who have been adamantly encouraging me to start my Etsy shop, I was planning on keeping stuff until Christmas and then opening up a shop around October and shipping stuff out so that I would have a lot of inventory. I don't think I'm gonna be able to hang on to everything for another 6 months. So that will be incoming. I'll put the description or make a big announcement when that does happen. That was my first quarter of 2023. Overall, a reading success, a crafting success. What about you? Did you make anything that you really loved? Did you read anything that you really loved? And are you planning on picking up anything that I suggested today? Thank you again so much to my wonderful patrons who have used the Buy Me a Coffee to donate to the crochet cause. You really do help so much with so little. I appreciate it. If you would like to donate, the link to the Buy Me a Coffee website will be in the description down below. You can also help me by liking, subscribing, and continue to watch my videos. I appreciate it. I hope that you have an amazing second quarter. April showers bring May flowers. And I hope that you take time for yourself, do something that you love, and remember to keep your shoulders back, breathe, and keep your head up.